Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in here to the channel. And again, welcome new subscribers. Hope you're all doing well. Well, I came across a meme by Narcissistic Families Inc., and I think it's a great subject to talk about because it just reminded me of how many scapegoats go through this with their narcissistic families. Now, the Lord wants us to be together with our families, of course, but the Lord even had a situation in his hometown of Nazareth where he didn't feel comfortable among his own people in Nazareth. They didn't believe in him. They didn't believe he was the Son of God. They didn't believe he was capable of miracles. And so he wasn't able to perform any miracles in his hometown. They were all pessimistic. They didn't celebrate his successes. They didn't listen to him, right? So our Lord understands that. He knows, and in the Word and the Bible, the people that were used in the Bible many times were called away from their family of origin. So it isn't as though, we're talking negative about the family get-togethers, but if you've been scapegoated in your family and abused and not celebrated, just tolerated and put down, it does have a huge effect on your choices later on in life. And so a lot of scapegoats find out that they're choosing similar types when they grow up. They're choosing narcissists or malignant narcissists because they're used to that kind of treatment and abuse. And it's only when they get educated on narcissistic abuse, when they learn the tactics that will protect themselves against similar types, and they can recognize abuse and acknowledge it for what it is, that's when they can grow and heal and have healthier relationships and say no to potential circumstances that may be unhealthy for them, and set them back even further. So this meme, let me read it to you, and let me know if you can relate to this or whether this resonates with you. It was by Narcissistic Families Inc. Somebody posted this under that group, and I'll read it to you now. It says, "While I was going through some of the darkest moments in my life, my narcissistic sister threw a barbecue. Not to comfort me, not to support me, not to stand by me, but to, quote, celebrate my pain. She gathered the narcissistic relatives, lit the grill, played the music, and laughed like it was a holiday. Because for them, my suffering was a spectacle, a twisted reward. They toasted to my downfall like it was something they earned. That's the kind of cruelty that doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who share your blood, but not your," and then it's blank here. "And that's when I realized they were never family." Now, that blank space here, it says, it comes from the people who share your blood, but not your blank. So I would substitute, but not your heart. So you can share blood with family, but you don't necessarily have the same heart, right? And we know the Lord examines the heart. He examines your ability to show compassion and empathy and have a heart. That's what he examines. That's what he looks at. So if you don't have the same heart as family members and you have empathy and compassion and you're the scapegoat, just know the Lord sees you. The Lord gets you. It says here, in the kingdom of God, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. So if you were treated the last, you're going to be the first in the eyes of God. And it's very, very strange to see narcissistic families feed off of the contrast or the difference in your heart. The scapegoat's pain will highlight their superiority, so to speak. If you're going through a hard time, that's the time when narcissistic family members will flaunt and brag about their pay raise or their house they bought or their sports car, the vacation they went on, or talk about all the fun they had at some expensive getaway, or show gifts that they received, etc., or just brag about their kitchen renovations or whatever. They make sure they do that to, again, take control over the scapegoat and to make them feel insecure, they use that time that's very vulnerable to the scapegoat, the time when, they're suffering due to something that happened to them. And they were seeking family comfort, but instead, they get bombarded by the family's perfectionism and look at what the family bought or the family success. And it's basically kind of shoved down their throat. In a few cases where the scapegoat really needed family emotional support, nothing else, but just wanted the family to be there and, hear what happened to them. So many things. They were a victim of crime and other things that had happened to them that wasn't their fault at all. And the family had said, yes, we'd love to hear about it, come back. And when the scapegoat did go back home and spent the money that They were basically, again, just like this meme said, given a party and a barbecue, and they were dragged around to about 5 different relatives' homes for drinking and celebrating and partying, and the scapegoat was just so confused and said to me, "I don't understand this. I told them I'm going through a very, very hard time, and I really need family support." The person was, like, on the edge, and did not wanna drink and party and see a million relatives and go to amusement parks and then go on their big yacht and then go somewhere else and be shown all of their opulent lifestyle thrown in their face. They really just wanted to come and have a calm, intimate conversation with family members, or to just have them listen or be supportive. And it turned into the scapegoat returning back to where they lived, feeling worse. Feeling worse, like, why did I spend the money to see family when all they did was throw up things in my face and make me feel worse? It's because the narcissistic family, many times, again, they want to build themselves up superior, and the scapegoat's a vulnerable time, the time where they're not doing so well, or something happens, or there's an illness or job loss or something. Narcissists take advantage of that. I'm sorry to say, many times they're not there to help. They don't want to see this scapegoat to listen and be a family member that's attentive and compassionate and loving unconditionally. No, they're using that as an opportunity to flaunt how much better they are. It's all about them, guys. That's narcissists. They don't care what the scapegoat has gone through, even if they were a victim of crime on the street, or somebody robbed their home, or something unfortunate randomly happened that wasn't their fault. uh, Narcissistic family don't care about that. They will just use that weak point in the scapegoat's life to exalt over them and feel superior. And like the "I told you so," see, nothing goes right with the scapegoat, or see, something's wrong with the scapegoat. When, of course, that isn't the truth. The truth is, things happen to everybody in life, but narcissistic family members rarely talk about um, what they have happened to them or poor choices they've made. In their eyes, they're not self reflective. They don't see how they can improve or the poor choices they've made in life. It's all about what other people are doing, or how the scapegoat is inferior, or, they use them as a topic for entertainment purposes at parties, joking about them, laughing about them. Oh, look what they did here. Ah, without divulging a thing about themselves, right? So the scapegoat, many times, just like this meme says, can go through the worst circumstances in life and look to family for help. And instead of the family wrapping their arms around the scapegoat and feeling genuine empathy, compassion, and concern for the scapegoat, instead they'll throw a party and have alcohol there, and have a whole itinerary of activities to not talk about the subject at hand, or not to inquire how the scapegoat's really doing, because they don't care. They don't care. They just will have these activities to totally mask over the real reason why the scapegoat is visiting family. You know? So if you're a scapegoat out there and you've had this happen, put it in the comments below if you can relate to that meme. Has your family had celebrations when you return to family to get comfort and unconditional love and understanding from your family, emotional support? Did they throw parties and avoid the subject and just talk about themselves? Let me know in the comment, because that's happened so many times to people I know. I've witnessed it myself. Maybe went through an illness. There's people I've known that have had cancer, recovering, and they really crave to have family concern. And when they went home, the family treated them as if they were just fine. They're dragging him on to parties and events and, like I said, amusement parks. And the person, probably was out of chemo or something, could not keep up. But that's how they dealt with it. It's really, really strange behavior. Is they're not thinking of other people and what they're going through. They're just thinking of the family image. Now, again, they feed off of contrast. So if the scapegoat is looking sickly or down and out, or has gone through a bad time, they're not going to be all cheery, happy, wanting to drink alcohol and party all night with the narcissistic family members, or go on picnics or ride roller coasters at Six Flags. But the narcissistic family unit does that to people that are going through a hard time, because they have to present, look, our family's fine. Nobody has a problem in our family. Look at how much fun we have. Everything has to do with how much fun they're having, how many activities they're going on, the family image. And if there's a scapegoat that's kind of not that joyous there because they've gone through a lot, they thought that they were coming home getting family, unconditional love and empathy and having a heart to heart talk with them, or, not just fun and games, joking, sarcasm, and alcohol, they're going to be confused and walking around like, what is going on? They're going to feel like a fish out of water, like they did growing up with this narcissistic family unit, totally different with a different heart, right? And it's a contrast that narcissistic families love to project. Like, look at how different the scapegoat is. It just makes the scapegoat stand out all the more as the different one. The bigger the party when the scapegoat is hurting, the more it's going to look, uh, you know, uh, like the scapegoat has the problem. You see, it's a huge personality contrast when they do that. So sometimes it's done for that reason. It's also done to keep the family image up. Is see how happy we are, or look, we're better. We can have fun. We're not going through any problems. That type of thing. Instead of just being real, instead of being authentic, and we know that narcissistic family members aren't authentic. They're never their authentic self. They never have problems. They're never going through hard times. They're always good. They're always perfect. Everything's wonderful. Everything's great. It's the mask that the narcissist wears. Real people can be self-aware. Real people can say, well, this hasn't been going so great. I'm working on it. Or, I made a bad decision and, this happened. I'm trying to get through it. Real people are more human. We're self-aware. We can spot out our flaws and what we need to work on and acknowledge when, we're going through a hard time or when things aren't great. We're not afraid to show different feelings to a point. It's not like we should be crying all over the place and pouring out our emotions, wearing our heart on our sleeve to people at all. Most scapegoats don't, because growing up they realize that didn't get them anywhere. Nobody cared. So they hold it in. But that's why it's hard when something really hits the fan. Automatically, most people think, gee, I need my family now at this time of hardship or this time of grief or this time of trouble. And then when you realize that your family of origin wears the mask and they can't go there, they just can't talk any deeper than the weather. It's really a lonely place to be. So if this is you guys, if your family has actually celebrated when you were going through the hardest points in your life, let me know in the comments below, because I've heard this from several scapegoats, several targets of narcissistic abuse, and they don't understand it. But I can tell you, you don't understand it because you're a real, authentic human being, and you have Christ-like qualities of compassion and empathy. And you know, as well as I do, that if somebody was hurting, you'd give them the shirt off your back. You'd listen to them. You'd validate what happened to them. And you would have concern for them. You wouldn't be getting them drunk, having a party, and inviting a whole group of people over to watch them suffer. Would you? I don't think so. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. It's a very bizarre behavior, in my opinion, to celebrate when other people are grieving, and to make them go through that. If somebody's spouse died and they were grieving, hanging on by a thread, you wouldn't have a big party with tons of alcohol and expect them to put on a smile and see people that they haven't seen in 10 years and put on a happy face and just chalk it all up. That's not the way to handle it. That's mean. That's cruel. And so, that's the behavior of narcissistic people, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments. I just saw that meme and I realized that so many people have reported that their narcissistic family actually throws celebrations instead of doing the right thing in, being a brother or a sister or a parent and showing emotional support to a family member. No, they just mask it under an image. They mask it under a family image of perfection and happiness. And they think the way to do that is with a series of activity, having the scapegoat show up and having, okay, we're going camping, we're going on the boat, we're going shopping, we're going on a picnic, and then we're going to visit a million relatives on Friday. Instead of just sitting down with the scapegoat and actually asking about them. So let me know if this has happened to you, and hope this was helpful. Know the signs. Don't set yourself up to be hurt again. It's not right. It's not normal behavior, in my opinion, and in the opinion of so many of you. I'm sure you've had it happen, and you can agree that it's mind-boggling. So just know God's got your back. He's been through it. He understands, and that's all you have to worry about. So God bless everybody. Please follow on Facebook, X, and Rumble. And if you would like prayer, please put your name in the comments below, and I'll be sure to add you to my prayers daily. I pray for all of you. And also, if you would like one-on-one Christian guidance, please email me at AngelHavenMinistry@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you on how to do that. So thanks so much, everybody. God bless, and I'll see you soon.